Hey, I'm Grant. Welcome to the State of the Channel for September 22nd. I actually haven't made one of these in a very long time, but I always meant to once I kind of figured stuff out, and I had a recent comment that kind of spurred me on, where I was like, why not? I'm in a good place right now. Let's actually go and get to that. So a little update on me. I've been doing a cooking show on public access. I put on another channel. However, I stopped that recently because I bought a house. And this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time because it was physically difficult in an apartment to actually record anything in, say, live action like this without just being constantly up against a wall or like huge problems lighting. And I still kind of have that because I haven't adjusted to the new space. All my lights are very bright white, which was perfectly fine to augment daylight, but now it just completely makes me look like a zombie. Which that's originally I filmed a previous episode and that completely killed it because I'm basically just blue. So now that I have a space and like a couple different projects I can do, and I've kind of moved away from the cooking show. I'm still willing to cook and do some, but I really don't want to get back on the two shows every 2 weeks schedule. It was very difficult to keep up with that. So if anything, I'd like to move it more towards maybe one show a month if I continue to go do it, because I had to like research the shows as well as edit and like just move them physically back and forth to the studio. It was very difficult to keep up with that. And I feel like if I do it once a month, I can do a couple other side projects, like this, or even just stuff around my house and not have to like grind out the cooking. And I mean, like, really that. It wasn't even doing the cooking show. It was the fact that, okay, I have on Monday, I need to cook, say, calzones. So that means I need to find 4 meals during this week where I cook calzones. And that's just not ideal to be eating 4 calzones a week, but I also just don't want to throw it away. So I feel like a lesser rate would be kind of nice to still keep that going. As for this channel, some of the reasons I didn't post to it recently is I was truly trying to find a way to find a core aspect of what I wanted to do with this channel, because it's always been just a personal channel. It's never been like a focus. Originally, I did Dead Rising stuff because it was very concrete. That game is very short and concise. I knew I could, if I threw enough time at it, I could make a good guide because there wasn't a lot out there of decent quality. So that was really a good aspect for like me learning video editing because it was consistent. I could get the same setup over and over because that's how that game works. I can be really deliberate and explain everything. I can write it from a perspective of someone who isn't, say, endgame. Now, however, while I like that series, it was not the point of this channel. Like, eventually I moved on. Like, I did some OSRS videos, I did some live action, like I did a whole podcast, stuff like that. And they all had their roles, but I always discontinue them because after I finish that role, like, what reason did I need to have for them to keep going? So take any like Let's Play on the channel. Those were pretty much all because I wanted to either teach or improve my video editing. So even as far as, say, like my live action podcast, that was just me doing the same thing, but for specifically live action. So once I felt like I was at a good point, like say I'd played all through Silent Hill 3 and the entire point was for me to learn keyboard shortcuts, there's no reason for me to be like, well, I'm going to do the next one. It's like, no, I got it. I'm going to do the next project. However, that's given like definitely like a lack of repeatable content on this channel because it's not about anything. It's why it's never like gone anywhere. Like if you look at my stats, it's like even videos that do well, it's never like a subscriber based thing. It's always because it's in the interest of like these random communities. So it's like, oh, hey, here's this Dead Rising little focus. Like that does fine with like that community, but that has absolutely no bearing on the people over on like the OSRS side. And from my perspective, I kind of don't want to do either. I'm like interested, but they're not going to be my main thing. And I've been looking for kind of a main thing to do on the channel, at least as like the bread and butter. And I can talk about this for an extreme length of time because it's just something I've been thinking about for a while. Like one thing that's really difficult for me is I feel like a lot of the things I want to do require other people. Like you need like someone to be the funny guy and some guy to be the serious guy for most comedy sketches. Okay, if I want to do a podcast, I'd rather have someone I can talk to, so it's like people are listening in, much more than say, I'm just going to talk at a camera like this. I'm not super into vlogs. Like I've always kept the idea that this State of the Channel is not a vlog. It was about the channel. It was a commitment for projects I'm going to work on. This is not the place where I come and say like, I'm going on vacation. Let me show photos of that or anything like that. So I've been thinking, what kind of things could I do in the meantime to kind of like put stuff out there and advance my skills while still being able to do it solo and repeatable. Like that's the big thing. Like the Dead Rising stuff, like the Master run, that's great, but like that's not repeatable for another series. OSRS, like little show. By the way, its whole point was to make videos that were super quick. Like, can I make the entire thing in 30 minutes? That's all like opinion based. It shouldn't be a weekly show because the whole point is for me to say I have a point I want to make. I put out the video on that. And just forcing myself to have opinions every week seems to like ruin the genuineness of that show. But I digress. The idea is to have something stable so that eventually, while I can get to work on like some of like the sillier stuff I want to put out, I can still have things coming. So one of the things I wanted to do is I'm looking at doing a kind of a 4-part little project to get back into video editing in like a big way, because my cooking show was really easy to edit because it was all live. Really, I was just taking out like flubs, small little cuts, fixing like accidental camera movements, very simple stuff, nothing too hard. So I wanted to start off with a basic Let's Play. And what the goal of this is it's 4 parts. I want to start with what I call like a preamble, and it's just going to be like 10 to 20 minute video before I start the game, essentially an episode 0 where I talk about why I wanted to do this one in particular. So this is where I would say stuff like, I'm using this to like get back into video editing, or maybe I just want to make a point about it. That would be its own separate video of a variable length, but I have a tendency to talk longer than I actually intend to. Then there would be like the Let's Play. This feels like the core of it, but it's actually not for me. I just feel like as I do other stuff with it, there's no reason not to record like a Let's Play. Like what I want to do is eventually the other 2 parts would be a 10 to 20 minute review, spoiler free, as well as a 40 to 60 minute retrospective. And so for those, it's like I need to go record footage, especially for the retrospective. I need like footage of like each single level. So why would I not just go play it again? And if I'm recording it anyway and editing it basically, why not put that Let's Play out there? So then the review is for people who just don't know the game at all. And the retro would essentially be trying to capture an audience of, hey, you know it, or you want to know more about what I said in the review. So you can go from the review to the retro, like retrospective. I don't really like the term retrospective because I feel like that's a very specific thing on YouTube, but whatever you want to call a video essay where I go through everything. And then if you want to know more about why I thought what I thought on the retro, then you can go to the Let's Play and the prologue or preamble and stuff like that. So it's like a nice little unit. And what that gives me is one like grabber video, essentially the review. Like here's 10 minutes where maybe you are just someone who's like never seen the game before, like, and you just really want a review. Like, but for some reason it's not popular enough where you can find like a nice fleshed out one, and you want one in video format. And the retro would be people who already are familiar with it, or just with me in general, so they want to hear my opinion on it. And then if you want to know more there, then you go to the Let's Play. It's a nice package, I feel like, with multiple stuff. And then the Let's Play's value is I can, depending on how long I choose to make it, I could theoretically make that come out every day while not causing me a ton of work. Because really, if I do like 20-minute episodes or one level an episode, it's pretty easy to say like, okay, I'm just going to do it Tuesday nights. I've got a couple hours Tuesday nights. I'm going to record it all, and I'm going to slowly edit it over the week. And that gives me essentially more bang for my buck, where I can be putting out a lot without, say, I got to do a video every single night personally and uploading it. So I think that'd be kind of nice. And then the main thread of this, though, would be the retros. Like specifically, I look at like what I enjoy and what I might like be passionate about. And I think that would give me a lot of access to, say, like games I want to talk about, or even like movies. I'd love to branch off into like other stuff, but those are harder to do. But I would have the passion to talk about, like, they're not all going to be like, these are my favorite games ever. Some of them I just want to be like, let me tell you why this is bad, but it has some good stuff like that. Like, all the passion there, but it's also watchable. Like, there's also other value to it. And I'm hoping maybe I can use that to just drive interest in some other stuff. So that's the goal. And so to start with, what I basically want to start with is I want to start with a game published by Bandai Namco. It's called Code Vein. And what I really want to do this one because I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to. It's got a lot I really like, but it's also got a lot of detriments to it and a lot of specific things I think I can talk about. So whereas I think it'd be really easy for me to talk about series that I greatly enjoy, that would be more of just me being like, this is cool, this is cool. And I think I can get more like, I almost want to say like personal controversy out of it. Like, man, I really love this, but man, I think we can all acknowledge this was terrible. So that's kind of like my idea right there. I also think it's in a specific enough vein, puns, that it's not going to be super overdone. Like, one thing I would love to get into is I'm like a huge fan of like horror games, and I would love to put those up on the channel. But admittedly, like, if you go to horror games, I would feel bad if I didn't like comment on stuff like Amnesia, but it's like, I've played those years ago. And this seems like, and honestly, like, if I was going to do Amnesia, it's like, how many people have done Amnesia? Just gameplays or something like that, or just talking about it. And I'm just like, that's kind of been done out. But I feel like, hey, I want to make a good case. I actually do want a sequel for this game, so let me try this. Like, I have things I want to say. I want to make some videos. Let's see what I can put together. Now, if you're interested in how this project would go out, though, the next thing I have to answer is format questions. Like, how long do I want an episode? How long do I want this video? And what I'm thinking more about is, like, how much of a show do I want this to be? Like, I can always just upload this as is, like in a Let's Play, you know, like, no face cam. Like, that's instantly a question I got to ask. Like, do I want face cam? Do I want someone else on the commentary track for the Let's Play just to have someone to talk to right then and there? Do I want to just do it by myself? Do I, for the Let's Play, it's like, do I want to just go bare minimum? Maybe nothing. It's just gameplay. But more specifically, what I want to answer is, like, do I want to do like graphics for like the review and the retro and call them something specific? Because I like doing that, but it does like delay it because it's like, let me come up with like a logo or like a tagline for this show. Downsides being, I've got to do that before I start releasing. It's weird if graphics start showing up, I don't know, halfway through a series. But also, I don't want to cheapen it by not doing something like that, if that makes it all sense. So I've been wanting to think that through like this week to see if I want to make something like more out of it, or if it's more important to like, hey, let me just start squeezing stuff out and, you know, get the ball rolling. I think it's a very programmer thing of me to do, to be like, let's just get an iteration out. So part of me is leaning towards that. But if I have some inspiration, I think I definitely will like look further into this, as well as stuff like, should my review be something like this where I'm talking to a camera? Should I get a green screen and do all stuff like that? Or is it fine just to be like, hey, here's some gameplay in the background as I talk over it? That's probably equally fine. But then I think I start to lose like a little bit more of the passion I get from it, of like not doing like a big project and just instead being like, I'm solely here for information and not entertainment. And it's just here to help you make your purchases, which is not kind of what I'm going for. But I think I'm going to find myself on the way there. And what I like as well is, like I said, I can start doing stuff like a simple like Let's Play or the like preamble way before I have to make those decisions. So it builds in time where I can make something, like get the channel moving, like statistically, before I actually have to like sit down and like commit to something really hard. So, especially because like one of the things I'm still trying to do is I finally have a great space in my house compared to my apartment where I can do just like recording. So I actually want to make a space where I would love to feel proud to stand up and be like, this is a set. Like, I can have people on, we can talk. Because I never really had that before. It was always just like my desk behind me, or even like this, where it's just like the back of my monitors. I would love to have something that looks cool enough for me to have actually in my apartment, because there's plenty of shows on YouTube where, to be honest, I can't imagine them having that in their house. Like, I hate the idea of just a bookcase of Xbox 360 cases. I would hate to do something like that. But maybe if I can find that nice little middle ground of something that looks like a cool set, but still is nice decor in my essentially theater room that I'm building / like little studio space, then I feel like I would definitely like upgrade and like want to make use of that, and it'd be something that I would be start basing the like a certain series on going forward. So anyway, that is my goal. I'm hoping to get that ball rolling. It's kind of hard to say when that's going to be coming out because I could easily make like the little preamble, like episode 0 in one go because I wouldn't be playing anything. Whereas the Let's Play, I have to sit down and actually schedule time and figure out a bunch of stuff like episode length and all kinds of things like that before I can actually commit. So I don't want to just like be like, hey, here's this little 20-minute audio session I did. Let me throw that out there. But there'll be nowhere to go because I won't have put out the Let's Play until way later or have started rolling. So I want to make sure I don't like get too eager. I've also have to like note the part of why I originally filmed a video, I think on Sunday, where I covered a lot of this, but I ended up throwing it out because like the lighting. But also just I meant to get it out on Sunday, and I realized I had let my video workflow decay essentially over the last year. So even though I knew how to do it, all of a sudden once I'm actually like tasked with like, wait, how do I get this video off my camera in a single piece instead of like 10 separate parts? That's right. I had a program for that. What was it called again? And a bunch of stuff like that, as well as like trying to modernize it. Like that's one thing I know I've been doing constantly since starting making videos is just reiterating on my process. Like even within just the span of the cooking show, I look back at episode 2 and see how like bad my data storage was. Like I'll go back and I'm like, I don't have the original sources. Oh wait, no, they're actually in episode 1 for some reason because it was one big file. Okay, do I have the finalized version? No, I put that just on my desktop, so I still have the project file, so I have to re-render it. It's like a bunch of like stuff that was like really ugly by my standards now. So I want to do the next thing now that I'm getting into this to make sure I'm properly handling that in a more, I guess, professional way, so I can go back, recreate files. I have good audio quality, etc., etc. And obviously, some of that means I'm gonna have to look at like new tools. Like again, I mentioned I gotta get more lights because like right now it's super dark in this space. There's just no good way to light it. I want to take another look at things like microphones because I've always liked my microphones, but there's probably a better setup if I want to do better projects. And also now that I have the space, I want to invest some time each week in making the setup more usable, which is not very audience facing, but stuff like not having to drag out like when we did my little real life podcast, having to not set up 3 tripods, 3 mics, 3 cameras, lights, move my furniture, like that was a pain. So if I can somehow like get a nice setup that's easy to use, it would really help me to like sit down and do stuff like this. If I don't have to like rebuild the setup, I can just, be like, oh, hey, like I just left my cameras charging on the tripod so I can just put it down. Like that helps a lot. And unfortunately, that's the same kind of like time commitment I got to work on. That's going to also come from, sadly, the same pool that the video making would be from. So it's still going to give me a little time to get that rolling. But overall, this video was like that first kind of commitment to get it going. I'd say I'm really hoping to commit by just something besides this video coming out probably by a week from Sunday, just so I have time to like sit down and like plan that stuff out, actually like record it and then edit it, and not have to like force myself to back into say like working on these projects at like midnight because like I've had to just go do other chores or something like that. But I think this is a good start. I'm looking forward to it. Doing these little videos always got me excited because I just sat down and talked about what I wanted to do and how I want to go about it, and just gets that ball rolling. So I think I'll stick to that timeline because I think that it will be like a pretty good thing for the channel and getting stuff rolling with the stuff I want to do in the years coming, hopefully, with the channel. So I've been Grant. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again, hopefully with another one of these this Sunday.